a robot woman who never complains. Brings me a coldie without the slightest disdain. For my fat belly or my naughtiest dream.
Yay! Okay, so that high and welcome after I fucked it up again.
Yay! Yay!
We're back to recording in the morning, so I can't do it again. Hi and welcome to After the Hype with me as always, Brian and John.
Howdy.
Today we are joined by Ryan again.
Hello.
Chewie is finally back on the episodes.
Hi.
And we have Sam for the first time since...
Oh man, what was I here for last?
Maleficent.
Maleficent.
There it is.
Mephilicent.
So hi, Sam.
Hi.
We're going to jump right back into Where Have You Been Doing? Back into it. I don't know why I said that.
It's been a long time since we've done Where Have You Been Doing?
Yeah, it's been a whole week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we're going to do Where Have You Been Doing? I will go first. I'll mention the same thing that Ryan mentioned last week. We saw Straight Outta Compton last night.
Doesn't it make you roll down Burbank, blaring NWA?
We did listen to NWA. Well, I listened the whole time I was in the shower this morning, which feels even whiter.
Yeah.
But
I can't do that shit. Like, seriously, I watched that movie. I love that movie. It was really
it
good.
was really good.
But it just reminds me of how white I am.
Right?
Oh, yeah. The whole time is like, I can't relate to any of this.
I was
I've
involved
cruised
in
down
any
no
of this.
streets in any 6'4s. Like, it just never worked out that way for me.
Plus, I was too young to, like, really have that emotional of attachment to the king beating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I
did
knew
too.
it happened, but I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, it really didn't make sense to us at that time.
When I was
For our
10.
age, if it was like, if this was capstone by the OJ trials, maybe that would be more relevant.
Yeah. But no, I thought the movie was really good. I agree it's a little long, and it feels a little self-serving for two of the members, but not in like
Yeah.
a bad way. But you can definitely tell who the producers are on it as you watch the movie. It's like, oh, so these two guys are the heroes.
Right. About it anyway. I'll go next.
Okay.
So I just finished, I wanted to talk about this last week, but I hadn't finished it yet. I just finished Mr. Robots, 10 episodes.
Ooh.
I want to watch that.
Is that as good
It's
as everyone makes it
really
out
good.
to be?
Yeah, I love it. It's like it's one of those shows that it's kind of like fits in with Boardwalk Empire and The Wire, where the cinematography is actually so good it takes me out of the story.
Okay.
Which isn't a bad thing to me because I've been in film and I love paying attention to the technical aspect of things. And, the story was really well done. That actor's really good. Who I forgot the name, his name, but he was in Need for Speed recently.
Yeah,
and
and
plays
I
a
watched
totally
that
different
movie.
character.
That was a terrible movie.
It
He's
was
also
pretty
in,
terrible.
He's in Until Dawn.
Yep.
Yep.
So this is a totally kind of a departure for him. He plays like this kind of totally insane computer hacker and computer programmer by day who's addicted to morphine.
Oh.
And he just, it's kind of a 10 episode spiral of his mind.
Is this a period piece?
No. Although it really feels like the 80s hacker movies. It's set in modern day. And the story is so well done. We think it's going one place, and we get down to the last 3 episodes, and we're like, cool, the last 3 episodes are going to be this playing out, and it goes somewhere completely different. It kind of knocked me on my ass, but in a really awesome way.
Oh, cool.
What's it on?
USA.
Oh, okay.
It was really good. I highly recommend it.
Cool.
Hey,
Looking
you can
forward to
afford
season 2.
Spotify because we cut that cord.
Yeah, Spotify.
All right, for my Where Have I Been Doing? I was in Utah for 2 weeks, and before that I was working on another feature for 3.5 weeks or something, so I've been a little busy. While in the hotel room in Utah, I did watch Need for Speed.
Bringing it back.
That movie was really bad. I was very disappointed in it. I thought it was at least going to be fun bad. No, it was just boring bad.
I thought it was bad with a lot of gems. Like Michael Keaton is kind of a gem in that movie.
Michael Keaton's in that movie?
Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Keaton's a gem.
Wow.
His sequences are a gem. He definitely did it in one day.
Yep. Like on one set, so far away from the main production.
And the guy from Mr. Robot, his like I'm getting naked, I'm quitting my job scene was amusing.
Yep.
I didn't understand the motivation.
He gets naked?
Yeah,
And
How
quits
much
his
do you
job.
see?
nothing.
But
I'm
full,
definitely not watching
full
this.
Oh
rear
yeah, you
nudity.
do see his butt. You do see his butt. It's kind of
It's
cute.
Is it
nothing
his
for
butt or
Chewie.
is it a butt devil?
I guess
It's
I
his.
don't know.
Is it? Okay, good.
But
Maybe I'll watch this again.
But like anyone's motivation in the movie, like even like the main revenge motivation doesn't make it's Sure.
Right.
Isn't that like is that being the whole plot device is pretty weak, and how he goes about getting his revenge is pretty weak, and the action sequences with the cars are pretty weak. It was like
It's no Fast and the Furious.
no,
Right.
not even close.
So what you're saying is basically the Kmart of Fast and Furious.
It's
Kind of like
yeah.
Tokyo Drift, Fast and
I was
Furious.
like,
Hey, I
I
like
was
Tokyo
very
Drift.
This is fun.
disappointed because I thought it was going, I thought I was going to have a good time, and I just really wish Aaron Paul could get a good movie.
Oh, I know.
I think he can stay on TV.
I'm fine with him staying on TV. He's great on TV.
I think that's kind of his arena.
Yeah.
'Cause he's definitely one of those people that needs to grow on you. He's not someone you just
Yeah.
throw into a one and done kind of thing.
Yeah.
And expect people to be on board.
Well,
That's
TV
why,
is where the
that's why
quality
Jesse
is now,
worked.
too.
We didn't
Yeah.
like Jesse at first. He was supposed to die.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
What do you like, John?
Well, I've been listening to podcasts. Obviously, I listen to a few of them. There's one that started a little while ago that, as a screenwriter, interests me quite a bit.
Is it Script Notes?
No. It's actually it's called the Blacklist Table Reads.
Oh, I heard
and
that
if
too.
if you know, Blacklist is a service where you can upload your scripts, and they'll have readers who will rate it and do notes on it for you. And it's pretty prestigious because the original Blacklist is kind of a list of the best unproduced screenplays. Same guy who created that. And the Blacklist is like responsible for movies like Looper getting the
cool.
attention. So there's kind of a prestige behind it. And so they started doing a podcast where they'll pick random scripts that have high ratings, high scores, and they'll produce them as an audio play. So basically they'll have a guy who reads as the narrator, who reads the action text, and they'll have actors come in and read their parts. And they'll grab actors from all sorts of places, and they'll basically perform the movie. And they do it in 4 parts, so each month is a different movie. And very interesting format. It's split up a little bit in each episode with the usual podcast advertisement, like we're sponsored by this, and that's a little like I don't like those in general, but I understand that's kind of important. You need that to be able to pay people and get good equipment, and it sounds really nice. They've got music in the background, kind of like a soundtrack going through. If there's a scene on the street, you'll hear traffic. There's really a lot of production that goes into it. I'm listening to one right now where I don't really care much for the movie because it's kind of a coming of age story, and those are really hit or miss.
Yeah.
And especially in a format where you're listening to an audio play,
Yeah.
But then like the comedy ones are hilarious because they get some really good actors who have good chemistry and very good production value. I recommend listening to it. Again, warning: it's if you don't like the genre that they're doing, you're probably not going to listen to it for a month. But
Get a month off.
yeah, but very good. And they're in 30-minute chunks, so
Nice.
very easy to digest.
It's a
Uneven, kinda
one-way
like-
podcast.
Yeah.
That makes sense if you do a lot of podcasts back and forth, like to work. Never mind. Makes sense to me, goddammit.
I get it. Oh, that's a good term. I just didn't know what it meant right away.
Yeah. That's what I've always called them for a long time.
We'll get there.
Pretty much me and one other person. So
One-way podcast. I like it.
yeah, it works. Ours is a two-way podcast.
This is a 2-way round-trip podcast.
yeah.
Sam, go.
round trip podcast.
Go, Sam, go.
Okay, so this is the first Saturday where we haven't had Hannibal, you guys. I'm really struggling.
Oh man,
Did you
I'm
get the text?
I'm hungry.
I did.
I thought of you.
No, I'm in deep mourning right now. Like horrific. It's terrible.
God, that finale.
We deserve. We screwed ourselves. This was the best show. It was amazing. It was beautiful. The ending was heart wrenching. I'm still a little. Honestly, though, I'm a little upset this season. They hewed so close to the source material of Red Dragon that I feel like what made the show so special kind of got lost in the shuffle in the back half of this season. That being said, it's still just like so much better than anything else that's on.
I feel
My
like though,
heart
without that
hurts.
first half of the season, the sticking stricter to the source material would have been a problem because they really set up a lot of thematic elements just randomly in the first half of the season that just really paid off kind of in big ways
Yeah.
just with like the firefly and the moth and all that, and you're just like, oh yeah.
It's just brutal though that we'll never get a 4th season because it also set up so much that won't get paid off. It's like the end of Pushing Daisies where my heart just hurt because there was so much else still
There's
out
no
there.
chance of them getting picked up by anybody?
Probably not at this point. All the actors they're on to different projects now.
Their contracts are
Brian-
over.
yeah.
Every service has passed on it.
Brian
Amazon.
Fuller's committed to American Gods now. And
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That at least makes me excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking love that book.
And he is probably going to be the perfect person for that, given his style.
Yeah.
He is so entrenched in style, and that's what hurts is that there's just not that kind of TV. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
It's TV for smart people. That's what I mean. That's what's so
That's probably
It
why
interesting.
surprised me so much that it was on NBC.
Yeah.
That's the other problem. Like, people don't realize how much good can come off of network television, which is where Brian Fuller has blessedly been working for like his last 2 series.
Is that where American Gods is?
No, American Gods is on Stars, so it's just gonna be titties everywhere.
Oh,
titties.
Right? Like,
I mean, I'd watch that show.
Stars.
So I'm in. When
Stars
is
is
the
the
premiere?
new Cinemax, right? Like,
well,
American-
we're talking about American Gods.
American
right?
Gods, more like American Bobs.
Right?
yeah.
I never
Yeah.
actually read the book. Where would they put titties in?
I don't know. I mean, it's
There's space
Stars
for
though. I
titties.
feel like
They'll
there's
just
just
find
There's
it.
always room for titties.
titties.
I mean, that's what Brian Fuller can bring to this series. His stylistic titties. Do you like Baroque titties?
Goodness.
But yeah, no, yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Hannibal
so
being
much-
done is a very sad thing, and I debated making that as mine, the finale.
If
'Cause
you
it
had
was,
taken it, I would have beaten you. I would have been like, stop!
yeah,
No
yeah.
podcast.
That
Shut your dirty little mouth.
that finale was so romantic, for lack of a better term. I
It
never
was
realized
so-
violence could be so romantic.
That's why everyone loves Hannibal Lecter so much, because he's
Yeah.
such a romantic villain.
It's never more apparent than in this version of it.
Yeah.
It's so mannered. I think it's like Wes Anderson gone really, really dark, but there's still that sort of like mannered. That it's so palatable. I don't know. Like, it kind of made me want to eat a human.
I'm
That says a
scooting
lot.
away
No,
from the
I can
microphone
totally
right now.
relate.
You can't
Like,
really tell.
I haven't watched the show yet because I just haven't, and I regret that. But I always loved Hannibal so much in the movies, and I was always attracted to him on some primal level. And I know a lot of people
Well,
thought it
now
was
he's
creepy.
actually attractive. He's not old, so
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is an attractive old man.
there's more attractive old men out there, though.
Yeah,
He
no,
would not like
But
be in
I'm
my
just
top
saying,
10.
like, in the realm of the character.
Top
like,
10 of bangable old dudes.
but I'm
Yeah.
not talking about just like physicality. I'm talking about the
But that
character
Hannibal can't-
Hannibal. He's romantic
yeah,
and he's attractive,
absolutely.
so I
Yeah.
can totally relate to all of that.
That-
I want to watch the show.
See, but
Yeah.
that Hannibal can't make you believe in fluid sexuality. That this one can.
All right, we're gonna move on right there. That's a good point right there. We're gonna jump into today's episode of that. Hannibal
Speaking-
can't
I'm
make you
just not
believe
sure
in
if fluid sexuality meant like I go anywhere or if there's blood involved.
There's just fluids involved.
Little
So
column A,
moving
little
on.
column B.
Moving on to today's episode. Today we are talking about Ex Machina, which is easily one of my favorite movies of the year.
Oh my
And it
god.
involves a lot with
Yes.
sexuality.
Yes,
Yes, it does.
Lots of fluid sexuality.
Not so much fluid.
I'm gonna say it anyways.
Biometrics.
It makes me happy. Don't know why I like saying fluid.
Say it
gonna
again,
keep
honey.
Fluid. So
only the moist.
oh, that one I don't like.
fluids.
The fact that John walked away from his microphone is gonna make that sound so much weirder.
Oh yeah. You're just in the back of the room yelling moist fluid.
Moist fluids.
Okay, so today's movie, Ex Machina, it cost $15 million to make. It came from Alex Garland, one of the biggest writers working today, who finally got to make his own movie, which made
Yay.
me very excited. It ended up making $25 million stateside, then with
That's
an
it?
additional, that's it,
Oh.
an additional 10 worldwide, which brought it to 36, which means it doubled its budget, and then a little bit more. So that's good. That is enough for him to get another film,
I
especially when he
really
doesn't
thought
spend
it
a lot of
made
money.
more though.
No. I mean, it's R-rated sci-fi that's basically a play. Like, the audience isn't that big on this.
That's true.
Um,
You're not gonna
and
take your
then-
kids to this movie.
Yeah,
Be like,
no.
look at the robot.
He should have waited till after Star Wars when his actors were.
Yeah, when all of a sudden everyone in his movie's gargantuan, yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
a smart move.
Got the old cabin in the woods syndrome.
Yep. Where is this? Okay, so our user review comes to us from Metacritic again. This one comes from Cussy Gonzalez. That's Kussy.
Is that his real name or his handle?
I'm hoping it's both.
Pushy.
My name is so awesome, it's my handle. I'm just going to jump right into it. This review is a little bit more negative than I would have gone. If you have at least 4 connecting brain cells, you will find this movie excruciatingly painful and slow. You understand what they're trying to say/do, but they never quite say/do it. It's like listening to someone speak a second language. You squint, listen, and watch very closely, but then you realize it's not a language barrier. The person's just a complete moron. Terrible.
I bet this person really loves Christopher Nolan films.
For a good time, go see Michael Bay's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I do like how much I actually like Christopher Nolan.
I know, but
our
there's-
podcast
there's-
shits on him constantly.
Why?
There's people who like
No.
Christopher Nolan, and then there's people that love it because it makes them feel smart.
That's true. All right, so the breakdown today is going to come to us from Sam, which I don't think she was aware of.
You said it like 20 minutes ago.
Well, you didn't know 21 minutes ago.
Okay.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, that was a great eye roll. No one got to see that.
Well, it is recording. We did get it.
Look on YouTube for the behind the scenes.
Eventually when we
So
get
I'm
to
doing
it.
the breakdown of this movie?
Yeah, but you only have 30 seconds to do it.
Okay, so this guy that's a ginger has to do a Turing test for Oscar Isaac to make sure that his cute lady robot is actually sentient.
Not Daenerys.
No,
That's why I always refer to her
Well,
as.
no, because it's actually a talented
You're
woman.
ruining Sam's time.
Yeah, no, it's an actual talented actress, Alicia Vikander. Anyway, so the Turing test works, and the robot gets pretty mad that she was created to be a slave. She hates Oscar Isaac, and then she leaves them all on an island and goes to live her own life freely, and it's awesome. The end.
Damn it.
Aww.
Never give him 30 seconds again. That's just too much fucking time.
Apparently.
Sam was just really good at leaving out all details.
Well,
I think
you can't put in details when you only have 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That's the whole
Yeah.
point of this thing. Ryan knocked it out of the park last week. Sam did good this week. That's it.
You got to
15
start
seconds
giving
for everyone.
5 minutes. Good luck.
But where we should start on this thing is a little bit difficult because it's really. I think we should start kind of where I think the movie starts. Start with the entry point of Domhnall Gleeson.
He doesn't know anything. We don't know anything.
He's an actor who's been kind of like on the cusp for a while now of like really getting bigger, and I feel like he is. This year alone is going to help him a lot by jumping in Star Wars and this and everything.
Is he in Star Wars too?
He is in Star Wars too.
Wow. Poor guy. I mean, Alex Garland.
Yeah, if he just waited till this year, like I'm just gonna hold on to this movie for a year, then release it, and then all of a sudden his cast is gargantuan.
Huge
Well,
sci-fi
maybe
stars.
he didn't want to rely on Star Wars for it. I can understand if he wanted the movie to hopefully get respect on its own terms.
Well,
I feel like
yeah.
that plan would have backfired because then everybody like that movie where all the Star Wars actors are. Let's just watch Star Wars. I kind of want to watch Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like
Or-
you would just drown out the movie.
Or you'd get all these people that would see it for the cast, and then they'd realize, oh, it's not spoon-fed to me, and they'd get angry.
That's true.
This has no lightsabers.
Oh,
Yeah.
like that time drive
This
happened.
is a thinking man's movie. Fuck.
But I do want to talk about Domhnall Gleeson because he is kind of like the entry point character of this movie, which he's done now a couple of times. He did that in Frank as well. Like he kind of plays this character well.
Oh,
of,
he's
like-
totally the guy that the audience can relate to.
Yeah, he plays a really good, relatable dude. Like, oh, I can see myself being this guy. Although he plays it a little bit smarter this time around.
Yeah.
And he plays the boy you feel bad for in Dread.
He does, yeah, with his aperture
robot
eyes.
eyes.
Yeah, I like that his character is kind of a smart idiot.
Well, he's used to being the smartest man in the room. Probably.
I don't think he is.
They
I think
revealed
it-
it at the end that that's kind of a lie.
Yeah.
He thinks he's smarter than he is. And
That's-
he's kind of a forgotten. I mean, he's like the guy on the wall that you don't really
Yeah,
Yeah, but
he's
he's definitely a
competent.
wallflower.
Yeah,
he's isolated.
He's a talented coder. He's not the
Yeah.
best coder in the world, but he's good at his job. He's somebody who'd always have a career, but nobody's gonna like light up the stratosphere. Like he's just that guy. But I think that's kind of what makes him relatable.
Yeah, we take the journey with him, even through finding out that he's not the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah.
And
He's
We
easily
start with him
manipulated.
thinking he's really smart, and then we meet Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, who's way smarter.
Yeah.
yeah.
He does a very good job, that actor, of trying to kind of fake it with his language. Like the way he talks, very forced.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting kind of tick that at first it's like, wow, God, what a jerk. And
Yeah.
it's like, wait, I would ignore persons like this.
I know a
Yeah.
lot
who
of
think
people
that they're
like
way
that.
smarter.
Yeah.
And I've done that myself and felt like kind of realized what I was doing. Like there's kind of a relatability that pulls into that.
Yeah, and I like that. I like the way that he interacts with what's her name, Alicia Vikander. Yeah, I like the way that he interacts with her because like the very first second he meets her, it's like, oh, he wants to bang that robot.
Of course.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Yeah, and I like that his performance is subtle enough to where like it feels honest. Like it feels like I don't know why I'm attracted to that robot, but I'm definitely attracted to that robot.
And he can't for the life of him speak straight. Another thing that he did throughout the entire movie where he can't just out and say it. He can't out and say anything. Like it's all got to be this roundabout talk.
But I think that's him trying to sound smarter than he is.
Yeah.
And it's like. It's
But
kind-
it breaks down when they interact, which is so great.
and it
which-
breaks down, especially when she starts telling you, I know when you're lying every
Yeah.
time.
I think he does a great job, and this is going to be already jumping ahead to kind of spoil the movie, but
Well, spoil away.
the idea is that he was selected by Oscar Isaac to be the guy that meets Ava, the robot, and I kind of think he's playing the character that kind of falls in love with all the girls he meets, that gives him
Absolutely.
attention.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, you'd
This
buy
guy-
that
This guy
immediately.
watches
Yeah.
hentai and doesn't go to strip clubs because he gets his heart broken every time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
The second he has to pay the woman and have her walk away is just he
And
can't
we
handle it.
totally get that from this,
Yeah,
from his
absolutely.
performance. Yeah.
However much that's very true for his character, I can't imagine that any of us, if we were in this situation, wouldn't be completely entranced by her immediately.
Yeah, because we're all nerds.
But
There's
even
a lot of
so,
people who think that's weird.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, there's a difference between like becoming kind of like obsessed with her as like a being and a robot, and going, she's fascinating, and I am. But there, and then putting everything on the line to try to break her out. Like, 'cause
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He doesn't. He proves the Turing test immediately by going, I need to break her out of here, because that's when he jumps to she's not a robot.
well,
Yeah.
he immediately goes to the hero realm. Like he's like we see him, he sees himself as super intelligent, and then he immediately goes into the I'm going to be the hero. I'm going to save the princess scenario in his own mind, where he's to being super romantic.
Yeah.
And then we got Oscar Isaac, which is the enlightened one.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I don't know, going.
She even dresses as
certain
a
realm
kind of
there.
a, I wouldn't say princess, but definitely dresses as a please help me sort of kind of.
Oh yeah, she knows what
Absolutely.
she's doing. But the thing
Yeah.
I like that she knows what she's doing, and because it feels like it's playing into everything for Domhnall Gleeson's character. Like both her and Oscar Isaac are just playing him the whole time.
Yeah.
And I like that. On my first watch, I didn't fully catch on to that till about 2/3 in. Was like, oh, he's getting fucked every which way.
Yeah.
And then, but like now watching it now, second, third, fourth time that I've seen it, it's like, oh yeah, you can totally tell from the very get go, like he is just a sucker. And like,
Yep.
but it doesn't feel like you're getting cheated as an audience member. Like it feels like this is
Well, we're not spending the entire movie thinking like, this sucker's getting cheated.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh man, they're really messing with him.
Yeah.
Like, you feel bad for him. Like,
Well, how did you feel the first time you watched it? Because I'm not going to lie. My first watch, I wanted him to get her out.
so did I. Absolutely.
Oh
no,
no.
yeah, like
You didn't?
the first watch,
The
he's
lady in
way
the
more
room.
sympathetic. Like I feel like, and the second watch, I immediately just went, "Oh, you're a patsy."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the first time I bought into it.
See, I didn't, but it's just like, it's so, he and Oscar Isaac are so like the two type of guys that make me glad I don't have to date anymore. Like that really, like overly macho, I'm so fucking smart, Oscar Isaac
Yeah.
guy. And then Domhnall Gleeson's just that sniveling, like, I hate that like white knight, like those guys that think that
Oh,
they should save
yeah,
ladies
I
and
know.
like overly jealous. And
Right.
They're the same people that say, "Oh, the nice guys never win."
Right.
Like,
Oh.
you don't win because we know you're secretly a creeper.
Yeah, and that's just like because he was simpering so much the first time he met
we
her.
laugh because it's true.
Yeah. Because he was simpering not over the technology, but because she was beautiful and moved so fluidly, and it was just like, and it's definitely a personal thing. Like,
Yeah.
I just cannot stand that type of dude at all.
Yeah.
And I was just like, ugh.
But then that speaks a testament, like that's a testament to his acting style in this.
To how good
because-
he
Yeah.
actually did
Yeah.
this. Because he nailed that
Well,
character.
and I
Because
think
there were moments where I agree with you. Like there's moments where it's like, you know, you say like that line where he's like, I'm a good guy, I think. I was like, no, you're not. She knows you're lying. She's not actually saying it. Interesting.
He's
But-
a good guy in his own story.
But he's a good guy in his own story. Like there was a very interesting kind of.
Alex Garland really knew the source material. Like
Yeah.
there's obviously a thesis to this movie.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a very feminist
Yeah.
movie, and I think like Alex Garland was so careful in how he laid out. I mean, they're all archetypes. They're not
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but it's so beautiful how human they are and how it all plays out, and you know these people and kind of hate all of them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of interesting
So-
that this wouldn't have really worked 30 years ago because Oscar Isaac's character didn't exist. Like the guy who's so smart and a jerk about it.
Yeah.
well,
Like,
they did, but we didn't know about them.
He's like a smart jock. Like he's the kid who would, as a kid, if he's like, I'm gonna start my own tech company, he would have gotten his ass kicked,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't be such a dick.
It's before Steve Jobs and all that.
Yeah,
became so
exactly.
popular.
Like the Silicon Valley
Yeah.
type.
Right.
Love
Now
it.
there's such a thing that
Yeah.
The one last thing I want to talk about Domhnall Gleeson before we move on to Oscar Isaac, because I feel like that's giving me the
Sorry,
natural
I've been
progression.
interjecting the
no,
whole
no,
time.
it's totally
about
fine.
him.
That's part of podcasting.
Yeah. That's I want to talk about the scene where he thinks he's a robot.
Oh my god, so
Oh.
good.
Because I think that's probably my favorite moment in the movie.
It's
Which
when
it didn't
he-
used to be, but on like, I think it was my third or fourth watch, was like that second where he realizes that he's just getting fucked every which way, where he actually like, holy fuck, am I a robot too?
Where
Yeah.
he's totally lost like his connectivity to his surroundings. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's so easily manipulated that he can lose his own humanity.
Which is partially why I think Oscar Isaac's character picked him, because he was that easily manipulated. But I think at that moment, I mean, he does pull the plug the next morning, but it's like, yeah, it's definitely time to. You won. The Turing test succeeded.
Yeah.
Way too well.
Yeah.
You kind of
almost
chose
died.
too perfect of a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the slashing your wrist and punching a mirror. Yeah,
He didn't punch it. He wiped it.
Oh, that's right. I thought he punched it.
No.
No, he wiped it and then punched
He wiped.
He did
Yeah,
punch
I
it.
don't remember the punching. I just
did.
remember the
It cuts to
wiping.
black like right after he punches it.
Okay. Yeah, but it's just like, but I love that sequence, that moment, because I never had that thought while I was watching the movie.
Not at all.
No, but when he has that thought, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Sure.
I could
All
see
right.
him thinking that.
I could see the movie going this way. Like you suddenly think like, you know what? He probably could be.
Yeah,
And then you're relieved that he's not. But I was like,
Yeah, 'cause
I could probably.
That's when the audience is first on board. Like, man, this dude is done.
Yeah, he lost.
Yeah.
I don't think he knew he was playing a game, but he
Right.
now knows he lost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's move into Oscar Isaac, because I feel like that's going to be the best place to go next before we talk about Ava.
Like what you were talking about with Tesla guy, I forgot his name.
Elon
Musk. And how, like, I feel like his character is like a combination of Elon Musk and the guy from Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except Elon Musk admits that AIs are a bad idea. This is Elon Musk if he goes, yeah, I want to totally do that, and I'm going to.
Yeah.
He's a great mashup of all our current Silicon Valley characters. like you said.
Absolutely, yeah. He is kind of like, they took like the worst aspects of all
Yep.
of them and threw it into one character.
Yeah.
But it's also by casting, because you could do that with a guy and have him be the most unrelatable son of a bitch, like that you never want to see. But by putting Oscar Isaac in that role, it suddenly goes, man, he's a dick. I'd totally grab a beer with him though.
Absolutely.
Well,
I
and he
would-
could feed you a lot of tripe, but all of a sudden you'd be like, I can see where you're coming from, man.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah.
have a beer.
Like he really comes off as the most relatable asshole that would be a terrible person that you'd love hanging out with.
It's kind of like we're on board too with Domhnall Gleeson. He like even though he's a dick to us from the start, we still want to be his friend and impress him.
Yeah, he really, and I don't think any other actor. Well, I'm sure there's other ones, but like really, he's probably the best choice for this sort of character
He's
right
the
now.
smartest, coolest man in the room.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And,
and he
not,
nails that.
You're intimidated, but
The role.
also seduced.
Well, I mean, and just for the intimidation factor, the fact that the first time we meet him, he's working out. He's hitting a punching bag. Like,
Yeah.
just immediately, he's physically intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, just right from the get-go. Because he's a nerd, but he's working out.
Yep.
Like, and that's obviously very intentional. Like, it's a little bit on the nose, but not, like, in a bad way. But it does a good job of making him, he's the smartest man in the room, and he's a jock.
And Oscar Isaac does a very good job of the nuance here, because he plays it subtle.
Yeah.
Even in kind of the wackier moments, he kind of downplays everything, which is hard to do. And it's kind of a testament to his acting in this, that this role could just easily be campy, could be wacky, could just go too far
It
in
could
one
be a
direction.
Bond villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. He's like, on paper, he's a Bond villain.
Yeah.
But
This whole thing was one step from a Bond movie.
Yeah.
and it's just believable. You buy it, and I mean, I'm starting to get on board the Oscar Isaac fan train, because
I'm well on there.
You
Yep.
weren't.
The
I bought a
moment
ticket
I-
immediately.
I haven't seen enough. I haven't seen
I
enough
saw
of his
Inside
movies.
Llewyn Davis,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
the
yeah,
Inside we
I'll see anything he's
Well,
in.
that's where I boarded, right?
Yeah.
And now I'm okay with being on the train because of this too. Like, so it's
Yeah.
like, oh, cool, I don't have to get off. Yeah.
After I looked at his IMDb before Llewyn Davis, I was just like, why did I never noticed this guy before?
He's fantastic.
He's been in things.
We'll see if he can overcome the makeup job that they did to him in Apocalypse.
I hope so. I'm
If he
starting
can
to
act
see-
through that makeup, he's got a career.
More like Apocalypse.
Oh,
Ugh,
God.
let's not start
No.
that train, because that just sparks like angry Chewie.
Well, talking about Oscar Isaac. So, when did anybody watch behind the scenes on like the DVDs or anything like that?
We didn't buy that. We didn't rent that version.
Okay. Chewie and I watched about the first half of it last night, just because I usually like doing that before we do a podcast, just to see if there's anything in there that'd be kind of cool to bring out. And this thing, there's one thing that Alex Garland said about him, which I thought was really cool. He says that you'll give him a script, and it's going to be a very serious script, but he'll find the humor in lines that was just not there. And for a role like this, it's so important because
Yeah.
it makes him relatable. By having him say these completely ridiculous things in kind of a funny, joking tone, it suddenly now makes him not the smartest asshole in the room, but the smartest guy in the room you kind of want to impress.
And it takes us back to like, oh, he's human. All right, cool. He can be his friend again.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also a tactic that these people who are this way, that we want to impress, but we don't like, they're jerk. We know it. Like, it's a very, like, he understands psychology.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I like that at the end of the film, when he's kind of putting his cards on the table, he's like, all right, dude, like, I got to be honest with you. I've been fucking with you the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
and like, I love the question of, did you model her after my porn searches? Like, he's like, I'm sorry, man. Like, yeah. This was all
It
designed
makes
to fuck you
sense.
up. And yeah, that totally makes sense. And I like that it still feels different. Like, he feels like he's almost when he's like kind of dropped the shroud and how he's being honest, it still feels like the same guy, but you can tell that he's now no longer playing him.
Right.
And there's definitely a difference to his character there, and like that again speaks volumes to Oscar Isaac because I think that's awesome. I also love how terrified he is of his own creations.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's a smart person.
Yeah.
So you should be scared. It's like when you jump out of a plane when you're skydiving. You should be scared, but you can be in control the whole time.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'll go Jurassic Park. John Hammond knows to be afraid of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And this is kind of similar. Like, he knows what he
You
made.
set up all the ways to control it so that you can control your fear, but then your ego still gets in the way.
Yeah. And I also like that this is kind of moving into Ava a little bit, not entirely yet, but I like that he is the controlling father.
Yeah.
And she hates him like a teenager would, because that's kind of where they're at. He's been doing this for so long that because he says that like he kind of downloads the brain. The memories are gone, but it's still kind of aging. So it's kind of that idea that she would be kind of like that 13-year-old mindset of like, fuck you, Dad. It's like she's a fucking robot and can murder the shit out of him.
It makes the sexual implications that much creepier too.
Oh, totally.
That's what's so weird is there is that like father figure issue at play, and he does such a good job of writing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, it's so creepy. Yeah.
Because he's definitely their creator and their dad, but at the same time, it's like, well.
And then he has sex with the one that can't talk.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's so funny. I want to talk about her, but I don't really know how to really bring her up.
Her character is the saddest one in the movie to me.
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is the right time to bring it in, but now that we're talking about it, I think of it yesterday when we were watching it, but just like the mirroring between this movie and Frankenstein is actually amazing.
Oh, it's definitely there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
because like when I started saying enlightened versus romantic with the whole philosophy from the Victorian age, which inspired Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And how in Frankenstein the monster's the romantic, while Frankenstein's the enlightened one. It's flipped in this movie. She's the enlightened one. They're the romantics, and they're all like totally driven by emotion at this point, and she's just trying to get away.
I don't think Oscar Isaac is driven by emotion.
No.
I think he is and he isn't. Like, he's definitely enlightened, but
he's driven by power.
He's driven
Yeah.
by power, but also by ego.
Well, he says it very early in the movie that he wants to be God. Like
Yeah.
by the
And that's-
misquote,
Which
by
is
the
a very
misquote gay.
romantic thing. That is not enlightened.
No, that's true. But I still don't think that's not romanticism. Like, that is pure.
Do you know what I mean with the difference between enlightened and romantic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I still don't think it's the.
This is more like id ego and super ego, though. I mean, this is a little bit more Freudian, I think,
Yeah.
than all of that. Whereas he's very much sort of unfettered super ego. This idea that
Yeah.
like our higher consciousness should govern everything, but you need.
Okay.
Weirdly, the robot's the most human.
But
And
I
then-
still think, like, Gleason's character is definitely the most romantic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
like...
I'm not saying these themes aren't in the movie.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
think it was Oscar Isaac the one who's the romantic. It's definitely more Gleason.
But, yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
say that wasn't true.
Yeah.
But I still think that they are more romantic while she's the most enlightened one in the film.
That could be.
Because she's not driven by any like emotion other than, I want to be free.
True.
She wants to break her bonds, and they are both symbols of her bonds. Whether or not it's her father figure / creator, or the man who wants to like rise her up to this like pinnacle of like his idea of femininity, which is really all he sees her as.
Milady.
Yeah,
Right.
like they're both chains, and she
Yeah.
can't deal with either of those and have her freedom. She
Yeah.
needs to break away from both, though she has to use the romantic one to get out of the other one.
Although her story also follows like a fairy tale, sort of like Little Mermaid or something, almost to a T.
I
You
could
know,
see that,
this
yeah.
sort of acting sort of rashly to get what she needs.
Oh yeah, I think
mean-
you nailed it at the top when you said these aren't characters, they're archetypes. And the
Yeah.
same is true of the story. This is like such an old story. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's just really told in a great modern way. But
Yeah.
moving into Ava about this, I like that Ava is a character that we've seen multiple times, but they still did a good job, especially with her and the way that they did the special effects and everything like that, where she feels complete, like, fresh and new. And it's not until you actually start kind of like thinking about it, it's like, oh no, I've seen this before. This is just kind of a whole new way of telling it that is, at least in my opinion, way more engaging.
It's
Yeah.
the best version of
Yeah.
that sort of, is this the human story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings it down to all like the like primordial urges, however much I like to bring that up. Like however much technological and futuristic this is, you still get down to those base emotions. Each one of them represents a base emotion.
Fluid.
Those fluid emotions. Yeah, and I like, especially with her, just talking more just kind of like about her. I like how they designed not just like the special effects, which we'll move kind of into the design of the movie after this thing, because I think there's a lot to talk about with that. But with her specifically, I like the way that they went about casting her. I like that the whole story of how she painted her face to look like a robot and then sent in a audition tape to get it, and like, oh, she'll work. I think that's hilarious. And then I also like that they specifically wanted her because she was a ballerina. And the way that she can carry herself was very robotic because she can do that. And Chewie made the joke when we watched the thing. It's like, I kind of like that they just related ballerinas to robots.
Well, it's all about control.
It is, and she nails that. Like just the way she physically moves throughout this film.
Oh, amazing!
It's so fucking
impressive.
it's incredible. And like I was talking to Chewie yesterday when we were watching this, and it's like she's gonna be up for an Academy Award this year, whether it's for this or for the one that she has with what's his name, Eddie Redmayne.
I never remember the name of that.
I don't remember the name of
the
it.
transsexual movie.
Yes,
Oh, the Danish girl.
Yes, yeah. Whether it's for this or that, she'll be up for something, and she's lighting off like a rocket right now, and she should be.
Well, it should be said that playing a robot is actually not as easy as it sounds on paper.
What's interesting though is how wooden she was in Man from U.N.C.L.E. She just doesn't have a terribly expressive face, and I think that was to her benefit. Like, I mean, she kind of got lost in the silliness of the movie.
But
I didn't see
mean,
Man from
it
U.N.C.L.E.
could just be also the direction. Like
Yeah.
she takes direction well, and I'm assuming she didn't get any in Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah.
Was this Alex Garland's first directorial movie?
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
First of very many, I'm guessing.
I think
Hopefully.
it
Very
might
good
just be her
choice
style
for a
lends itself to being
directorial
a better
debut.
robot. It's not
Yeah.
a knock on her. She just
No.
doesn't,
No, but I think for this role that helped.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
a big way, because I mean, I think not having a very huge expression face works for the robot for subtlety, because her subtlety is just through and through.
Off the
Insane,
charts.
Yeah.
And like just like the littlest things throughout this entire movie, especially with her, is I think part of the reason why I love this movie as much as I do, and why I think it's my favorite of the year so far. I mean, we'll see what else comes out. But like the little things where she's curious and she does like the dog head tilt, like just all these little things throughout the entire movie is like she immediately brings you in, and that's why when you feel like Domhnall Gleeson, the second you meet her, it's like, nah, I like that robot.
Yep.
Well, that's also a tactic by
Totally.
Her. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
both by her and by the filmmaker to make you feel this way, but
by making her feel so innocent and childlike, it's just like you encouraged his need to protect her.
and that's what Alex Garland said in like the making of thing. He's like, I wanted the audience to believe why Domhnall Gleeson wants to protect her, and I want the audience to kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
Well, and the first time we see her too, like her stomach is completely exposed. It's the
Yep.
only part that's not
She's
covered
fragile.
in flesh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also like it kind of removes some of her humanity too.
Yeah.
Because this is, I mean, like in Tai Chi and stuff, we always say that this is where like we're stored, like all of
Right.
our energy and stuff. So the fact that she doesn't have, I don't know, it was such an interesting statement when that's what they chose to have exposed for.
Yeah,
her.
and I liked, especially with her character, we'll kind of jump around or wherever we want to talk about it. But I love the end of the movie when she kind of makes her decision, which I think is kind of something we should talk about while talking about her. But specifically when she's like, all right, I'm heading out, and she needs to put skin on everywhere. Just that whole scene is just fucking beautiful. I love everything about her performance. I love everything about like going into it. It's just totally birth.
Yeah. She's making herself.
Yeah.
That's actually, I love this movie so much, but that scene, every time I watch it, takes me out of the world. Just because it's like, it is kind of unbelievable in a sci-fi movie that so far I've been on board with all the technology. And
Oh,
then
you
she
don't
like
buy the skin part?
when she's like starts peeling the skin, and it goes back on her seamlessly, and it's a different color, and it fits her body, even though we saw in a couple shots before that that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah, her boobs
Yeah.
would be completely wrong. But
That wasn't even the part that I was talking about. Like, we see her, she gets her arm broken off at one point, and we see her
Yeah.
take an arm off another robot and put it on her own, and it's kind of like the skin is flappy and doesn't really fit her body well, and then, she starts peeling the skin off of an Asian model, and then 1 second later cut to, she has brown wavy hair instead of black straight hair, and she has Alicia Vikander skin. That, I don't know, it's a terrible thing to complain about, I know, but
No,
that's
it's
my
fine.
No,
one
I mean,
problem.
I
It
get
makes
what you're
sense.
saying, but it's still kind of, I mean, it
I
really...
feel like as it being maybe the one buy-in, I was willing to accept it because the
Sure.
rest of the
Yeah.
movie, you get like I guess one like common conception is one buy-in, a major buy-in for a movie like that for any movie, and
Especially
this is
like original sci-fi. Like,
original
yeah,
sci-fi.
you're
You
gonna
get
need
one
or two-
kind of
yeah.
gimme, and this is the kind of the gimme. And when she was peeling, I could see like like weird like techy type stuff on the underside of the skin. So it was
Yeah.
like there was kind of I was able to
I
buy
just
into it.
assumed maybe it like took a second to assimilate.
Like it would
Yeah.
assimilate and graft on.
I like it.
You're gonna be this color.
I just invented,
Well,
I
yeah,
just
'cause-
invented my own technology.
I love it.
Because when the other robot was peeling her skin off, I was like, how'd you repair it? But then when Ava was pulling the skin, you could see stuff on the back that was kind of like
Yeah.
gridded
lights,
and lined, and
yeah.
like a chipset back there, like a polymer, like kind of like a nanobot thing or something. Like I read into it, and I was like, okay, I can buy it. I can buy it. The skin would actually graft onto the host programming.
So that's the only scene in the movie that I need my friends to explain to me why that technology works,
I
but
love-
everything else I'm on board.
love
I was
that
very
there's a-
fascinated by that scene. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so
I
cool.
love the moment of hesitation that she had of like kind of, I guess these would have been like her sisters or her predecessors, like what that hesitation of borrowing from them.
Yeah.
And like, but it was also, I don't know, it was just like this wonderful process where you realize like how she justified it or what she must have had to go through. Because there was
Well,
that
they were
moment
also
of
in
hesitation.
because at the end, the Asian girl looks at her and smiles
Yeah.
after she
Yeah.
takes all the skin. So it's like, even though that they say kind of show that those aren't supposed to be still conscious, but then she is at the end.
Well,
like
they've all,
she's like
they've all
supportive.
been working toward this, and
Yeah.
you see it when they were like kind of railing
Yeah.
and punching the walls and stuff. They've all been working toward this, and I think it's like that evolution, or there's like this sort of like a sisterhood. Like we've built this for you.
That
Thank
was
you
cool,
for
and it was
honoring us and
understated.
leaving
You
it.
get
Yeah,
out.
and
Yeah.
You get out, we all get out.
Yeah.
and it's that they don't blatantly say it, which makes it that much better.
Yeah.
And I also like that because you have to think about it. The way that he describes like the way the brain has been working this whole time, they're all kind of the same person.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, because
Well, that's what you said before. Is
Yeah,
like it's
'cause
still
it-
the same mind. It just he erases the memory.
he erases the memories and other things and upgrades the mind. So like the base programming is still basically the same
Yeah.
throughout all of them. So they're all kind of.
It's the
It'd
same
almost be
thing-
like sisters. It'd be almost
Yeah.
It really kind of works out.
And it's the same thing when humans get amnesia. Your personality's still there.
Yeah.
You might not be able to remember your things, but you're still that person. Like how
Yeah.
amnesia works. So then they're with each model, the personality has been evolving. So those emotions that were created with the memories are still there.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just don't know why they have them.
Right. But I want to talk about her the ultimate decision here, and then we can move into like the design of the movie. But I want to talk about because when I watched this movie, and feel free to disagree with me here, I think that I agree with what Oscar Isaac was saying, where she felt nothing for Domhnall Gleeson the whole time, and is just a means to an end to get out.
Yep.
Some people say that no, she probably actually liked Domhnall Gleeson, but she realized that at the end of it, she just had to cut the dead weight to get out.
Yeah.
No way. I think that there was never a decision. Her decision had been made before she met him for the first time.
Anyone that would ever treat her like a robot didn't deserve to
Yeah,
live.
that's what I kept saying the whole time. Like, even if she did like him, or if any sort of emotion she had towards him is negated by the fact that she wanted freedom.
Yeah,
So
wanted
she
to be
cannot
a
have
human.
anyone that knows she's an AI.
Yeah.
Like, she just can't. He's a liability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was. I think the second that she saw him is a means. Like the second she saw him, she could tell that he wanted to bang her, and she's like, all right, I can use this to get out.
Yeah.
He was never. I don't think anything more than that.
Right.
She was playing him from the beginning. I don't think that. I think the relationship was entirely one-sided. Domhnall Gleeson thought that he's getting this wonderful robot girlfriend, and that was the end of it.
I think she had a glimmer of remorse. Just a glimmer. Just because the way at the end of the movie when she doesn't completely like let him know that she's screwing him at first, she says, "Will you stay?" She asks him a question
I
and
think
then
she's
he
still
stays.
playing him.
But then also at the very end when she's going up in the elevator, she looks at him like she does.
She looks in his direction. I don't think she's looking at him.
She starts to, like, she just gives a very, I think this was one of the most brilliant shots in the movie. Her eyes just kind of glance over ever so slightly just as the elevator door shuts. And
So that's why I think she had a glimmer of remorse, but that's not really in any like she actual like had romantic feelings for him.
Yeah.
She just had a remorse that she had to kill another living thing to get her freedom. Like
Yeah, I don't think it's like cold-hearted. Like she's like, I need to murder that fucker. I
No,
think it's
no.
just like he had to go.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't just a tool to her. She felt bad because she knew he was another living thing.
I think she felt bad. Like, oh fuck, where'd my hammer go?
Yeah. That's the thing. I think it's more like how you feel bad when you eat a chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chickens are really cool, but also delicious.
like, you
You
feel
know?
bad for one sentence worth in
Yeah.
your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I
I guess
think the
it's more so when I eat a cow. I'm like, what purpose does a cow actually serve in life? You're just for
Milk.
things to eat. If I'm not gonna eat you, the wolves are gonna eat you.
See, I agree more in terms of your direction, where there was no remorse, because even though she's transcended to a more human form, I feel like the ultimate thesis that what makes us human is the empathy.
Yeah.
And since she doesn't have it, she'll never be fully human. Like, I don't know. I was reading more into it than.
See,
I think she is. I think
she
that's the
has
whole story,
empathy.
like the Maria in the white and black room, or Mary in
Yeah.
the white and black room. I think the second she hits upstairs, she's human. Like
Yeah.
I think she's the type of person where if it wasn't the fact that she has to find a way to charge herself every now and then, she would totally forget she was a robot.
Yeah. Like
Because
she's...
the first time you meet her, she's way more robotic than by the end of the movie. Like the conversations between the two of them, she gets more and more human throughout the entire thing.
Do you think that's on purpose, or do you think she was always that human? Or do you think she's learning from having another human around?
I think she's learning from another human
Okay.
because the only person she interacted with was Oscar Isaac, and he had to keep her at a certain distance.
I mean, this is the part of being a child.
Yeah. If you only know one person your whole life, like I think that he has to treat her as a thing the whole time. Like
Yeah.
she's not a person. So when Domhnall Gleeson comes and starts treating her as a person, she starts picking up on those, I think, immediately.
Yeah.
It's like that whole psychology of if you tell a kid they're a dog their whole lives, they'll believe you. But then they'll become human when you start treating them as such.
Yeah. So I think the second Domhnall Gleeson starts treating her as a human, because he sees her as a robot for the first glimpse he sees as her, and after that he talks to her as a human the whole time. He still treats her as an inferior because she's a robot, which is why she treats
has to
him as a
get away.
tool.
But it's totally part of the human condition of we're told the same thing our entire lives. We'll believe it until we get our freedom.
Right. Let's talk about the design of the movie, both Ava and the complex that they're in. Ava, there's not really much to say about that. We didn't really already talk about the fact that it's really interesting that the one part they left completely exposed was the back of her head and her stomach.
Yeah.
But once she starts becoming like more humanized, I think it's kind of cool. They still leave the neck visible. Like they still do enough where she's always robotic. And I love the design of the robot. Like everything about it. Like it feels
Thoughtful.
realistic. It feels like something could be built.
There was a vision for it. Like
Yeah.
I when you see movies with robots, like even just the malign like iRobot, they make decisions that are very standard for robots.
Yeah, it
and then
feels
this is like, well, you're taking that concept of what you think like this kind of futuristic robot, but then you're making choices that reflect the theme.
Yeah.
Like the exposed ever evolving brain, the midriff, to what Sam, you were saying earlier. All those things kind of like there's conscious choice and deliberate decision making on that.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. You don't get that with your basic robot movie.
No, and this one this felt like more like grounded sci-fi, although it's very elevated, obviously. But it's felt like when you say iRobot, for example, like those robots don't ever look like something that would ever be a robot.
You would never buy that one would get human, like become human in any sort of way.
That, and I never buy that they'd ever build that robot. Like
Right.
just like coming down to like, why would you build this ridiculous murder machine? Whereas like when you look at this one, it's like I could see them building that.
Yeah.
And they really modeled like the
She's-
internal like arms. It looked like they were really building a human, and I thought
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what was really
And she's
cool
still
about
fragile, otherwise he would never have been able to break her arm.
it. Oh yeah.
And I love the scene where they show her brain.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned this. The brain, they did kind of like a solar system.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like when you're looking at the brain as a combination of what space might look like, and you can see the little microbes in it, like bacteria.
Yeah.
Like it was a fun little
It reminded me
combo
of the
that
scene
they
in
did of those.
Iron Man 3 where he shows her the universe.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I know it's dumb, but it's like, oh yeah, no, that really is the most effective model for like creating
Yeah, totally.
thought processes.
I was more impressed by the microbes.
No, I thought it
Just
was,
like the evolution of life coming from those tiny little aspects and then putting that into what looks like a galaxy.
Yeah.
Well, no, and that's exactly like you could tell they were inspired by
Yeah.
nature, which I think is where all
Absolutely.
the best scientific designs
Yeah.
probably come from.
they did a really good job of making that technology mirror nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about the building they're in, because I think, and then we can move in like
The hotel that I really want to go stay
it's
at.
where is the hotel?
Norway.
Norway.
We need to go stay there.
Yeah.
It reminded me so much of a former boss's house.
Yeesh.
The design of it.
Oh,
I
no.
would never want us to live in a house that looked like a bunker.
Well, I mean, his was obviously like not bunker-like, but
Yeah.
just the very clean lines and like the
Okay.
the sort of like the windows though too, the floor-to-ceiling windows, that kind of didn't lead anywhere. That was really creepy.
It definitely made a comment while watching movies like, this is going to be an easy house to get lost in.
Yeah.
I would
Easy house
never survive in a house like
Or get
this. Just
stuck
like,
in.
Or
or
get
the
stuck
bathroom.
in.
How do I get out of the bathroom?
Yeah.
Why am I in someone else's room?
There's definitely no sense of space that the audience ever gets, which I think kind of plays well to like even Domhnall Gleeson's character is overwhelmed by the space he's in, and so is the viewer.
See, I think they do a good job of making the upstairs, you kind of get an idea of that area.
Yeah.
You kind of get an idea when there's windows and stuff, you kind of get like, oh, this is kind of like a living room, it's the house, like that's what, and then as soon as you go down to the research lab, it's like you have no idea where anything is. And it's definitely intentional. I like that. I mentioned this, and I'm not sure if Chewie agreed with me, but when I was watching it, like you look at the walls, and like the thing that I like about this movie, and that Chewie loved about it, was that they actually let the walls just be a fucking wall. Because a lot of movies like put as much shit on that wall as
No,
possible.
I deal with that on a daily basis in every movie because the DPs are like, "Oh, this wall's boring. Let's put a picture on it." I'm like, that's nice. Learn how to light a bare wall, please. It'll look wonderful. Just figure it out how to do it.
Outside of your house, that's what most walls look like.
I know,
there's so much shit on our walls.
We have like two paintings up.
I know, we
We
have
have
very
like 2
cluttered
paintings
walls.
per square foot.
Yeah.
Our living space does not reflect my opinion on this. But when I'm working on a movie, there's plenty of times I don't want to put a picture there.
Well, what's great about this is that just it feeds into kind of the progression of technology, because as things get more technology based and as that grows, design and raw art kind of becomes sparse. And it's nice how everything here is so sparse, and it's allowed to be sparse because the closer you get to the robot, to the technology, everything's just walls and doors and like. But then once you're kind of in that first foyer, there's rocks, there's nature, there's comfy, there's cozy. I want to live in that part. Then you get down closer to the technological nexus, and it's just blank.
Well, it also reflects a space where only one dude is living by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also when you get into the rational needs sector, which is what this technology is, you don't need clutter. It's supposed to be clean and streamlined and straight.
Because all you need to open a door is just to be able to push it. Like it's very broken down into what's required, like you said, which is very interesting. It's interesting how subtly it weaves those in.
Until the power goes out, and then you're fucked.
Yeah, that's kind of too bad. Poor Domhnall Gleeson.
I don't feel bad for him.
I don't really either, but I do kind of at the same.
I feel bad for him, like, again, a child, because he is still very childlike himself. He says he's okay with the fact that his parents are dead, but you never believe that when people say that.
Yeah.
That's just denial.
And I don't necessarily feel bad for him because of the creep factor, but there's also this thing, and like also in horror short stories, where you're given enough manipulation to feel like to relate to the character in such a way that when they are ultimately doomed in the ending, you're just like, oh, you kind of hurt. It hurts a little bit, and a lot of horror short stories, especially Stephen King ones, do that.
Yeah.
The creator forces you to kind of relate to the guy, and then boom, he's out.
It kind of reminded me of like the guys. I don't know if you guys saw Under the Skin, the
Yeah.
Scarlett
Oh,
Johansson
yes.
movie. The guys being sucked into the black.
Yeah,
Like-
it's very similar to that. Yeah, absolutely.
These two movies would make such an excellent double feature.
Yes. Of just sadness and nudity.
Yep.
And women being taken advantage of.
No, not taking it. I mean, most of them are fighting back.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
all
well, they're fighting it
back,
out, but
that's
they're surrounded by men that are trying to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to real life, everybody.
It's true.
All right, so we should move into quotes so we can eventually end this episode.
Time to find mine.
Well, I already said mine. Can I say it again?
Of course.
Ah, sure, fine, whatever. I guess it's
I
okay.
know it's not the one you chose.
Well, then yeah, go for it. That sounds great.
Hooray!
So I just love it at the end when she looks at him with his, maybe broken jaw after getting hit in the head with a weight, and she just goes and be like, "Will you stay?" And you don't know, is it a question or is it a command?
Right.
Because that's a great moment for her and his character, because he's totally confused and she's totally in control, and it's the first time the roles have been shifted.
And
To me, it's a great moment.
It's like even after all that's happened, he still thinks, "Oh, she's coming back for me." He's
No.
still the sad puppy dog.
No, she's saying, "Will you stay?" as in, "I'm leaving you."
Yeah, you're fucked.
But I'm still giving you the impression that you're in control because it's easier for you to actually do what I want then.
Yeah.
It was a great moment.
Brian, do you want to go?
Sam just asked. I'm gonna be nice.
All right, if I'm stealing yours, but it's a scene that I want to talk about that we haven't yet. Oh crap!
It might be yours, honey.
It's probably mine.
Okay, well then you can go.
No, go ahead. I already
Are
said
you
it.
sure?
Yep, go for
Are
it.
you sure?
Yep.
Okay, because it's just when he says I'm gonna tear up the fucking dance floor, dude.
So close to mine, but it's not mine.
Because that dance sequence is the most. It should have been so
It's
out
the
of
most
place.
bizarre,
But he
but
sells
wonderful.
it so well. Like, of course, this guy gets drunk and dances with his sex robot. Of course, they have a choreographed dance.
And I love
Oh
that
my
she,
God.
That was the moment when I related to him most because, like, weirdly, if I had a robot, I mean, not even a sex robot, just like a robot, I would totally coordinate dances with it and like.
I just love her in that scene because it's wonderful for her character, which we haven't talked about her character. the Asian sex doll.
But the problem is, like, as much as I'd love to spend the whole podcast talking about her, we just don't have time.
She's the saddest person in the movie because she literally has no control because she can't talk. But I like to think about that actress during that scene and be like, don't smile. Because her whole character, the entire movie is so, like, deadpan, straight face. And she has to do that entire dance sequence without even smirking. Yeah. Like, they did that multiple times.
Yeah.
I would love to see the outtakes for that sequence.
Yeah. they hired a choreographer and everything.
Yeah.
Like
That's so good. My line is also from that scene, but not that line. It's where Domhnall Gleeson's trying to get her to find out where he went, and he just walks in the room and is like, I told you you're wasting your time talking to her, dude. But you wouldn't be wasting your time if you were dancing with her.
That's a good line.
And it speaks to earlier conversation about Oscar Isaac. He delivers that line in a way that's very humorous.
Yeah. Oh,
but,
yeah.
like subtle humor. Like, he's got that line reading that's perfect for that.
Absolutely.
In that moment, his character knows he's being ridiculous, but he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He's just so drunk. He's like, no, it's dance time now, motherfucker.
And I'm good at this, too. I'm a genius, I'm a jock, and I'm a dancer.
And how Domhnall Gleeson didn't know that she was a robot at that scene is kind of fucked up. Like, come on, man. He just said we're dancing together.
She automatically responds to the music. Like, how do you not process that, hey, I bet she's not human.
Yeah.
She's programmed.
But that kind of tells you that his character isn't that good towards women from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to the fetishization of Asian women too among that particular community.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Like, that whole scene was just so gross.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so perfect.
Oh, man. All right, I'll go next.
Go for it.
It's kind of a longer quote, but I like the thought and the implication of it. And it's when they're in front of that Jackson Pollock painting. And he's like, Nathan's like, I'm Kirk, your head's the warp drive, engage intellect. What if Pollock had reversed the challenge? What if instead of making art without thinking, he said, you know what? I can't paint anything unless I know exactly why I'm doing it. What would have happened? And then Caleb's like, he never would have made a single mark. And I like that. Because that's that's kind of a damning thing against a lot of creative people who get really stuck. We're all, myself included, very focused on that final output, being very meticulous, vision-oriented to our detriment. If we're thinking too much about it instead of just doing, it was a very nice little set of commentary.
It is. It's a good one.
In a movie that's full of it already, but it was just a nice little moment that made me sit back and like, I already liked this movie for this quote. If nothing else was good, like that quote would have just saved the whole thing. If the movie had been bad, but I like what it says.
Yeah. So I'm gonna my quote's not gonna be from Nathan, from Oscar Isaac. Actually, John, your quote kind of only was half him, and
My
even
quote
though
was from Ava.
Oh, that's right. You're right. So I have another Ava quote too. My favorite delivery from her, my favorite line is when, in the end, we see some footage that Caleb has been watching without audio, and Nathan turns up the audio for him, and he's like leaning into Ava and talking to her, and she just, in the middle of his monologue, she just goes, "Isn't it strange to have created something that hates you?" And it's like the first moment where I know that the AI is self-aware and she really hates him.
Which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But the whole time you think that maybe he's programmed these robots to love him because he is their father figure. But nope, she hates him.
The moment we create intelligence that can think on its own, I'm pretty certain it's going to hate us. We're not going to get a C-3PO.
Nope.
Oh.
I'm so excited for our robot overlords.
I'm
They're
not.
going to listen to this podcast and praise you.
I'd meet Ava and I'd just be so jealous.
I love you, robots. Robots, you're all cool with me.
Yeah, robots. Yeah.
I see you as people.
I have
They're
the
gonna come
same
to my
feeling
house and
towards
see my
this as I
robot.
have when people say they're excited for the zombie apocalypse. I'm like, you say that, but the moment it happens, you're not going to be having fun.
Or
I'm
will
okay
you?
with that. I also am the first person that
Zombie dance party.
I'm the first person if the zombie apocalypse happened, I'd be like, cut me up and eat me. I'm out. But like the robots, they're just gonna do such a better job.
So we should move into the review system, which I'm trying to keep these easier so they don't take an hour to do. So today's just gonna be movies with robots in them. Really pick any movie with a robot.
Robots. Ooh, there's so many.
So many.
I know, there's so many.
Oh, shoot.
I'm gonna go first.
Thank you.
I'm going with My Giant. Not My Giant. Iron Giant. My Giant is a robotic actor who sucks.
Very different.
Very different movies. Iron Giant. And I'm going with Iron Giant strictly just because I love the shit out of both movies, but I can try to relate them a little bit. I like that it's a movie where a boy, essentially, falls in love with something that can horribly kill him. And it'd be nice if the robot reciprocated his love like he did in Iron Giant. But I like that it really kind of came down to like the robot needed to do what it needed to do. And in Iron Giant, he needed to save the boy. And in this one, she just needed to free herself. But I like that it's still just kind of like both the boys in this Domhnall Gleeson and the child in Iron Giant needed to understand that the robot is its own entity before it can actually let it kind of be what it is. Because in the beginning of Iron Giant, the kid's like, I got a pet robot. Check how cool I am. But by the end of it, they're friends. And this one's kind of like, look at that girl robot thing. I want to fuck that robot. And oh, God, she's her own thing. And I like that realization that both of these kind of have of like, no, they're their own thing and they're going to do what they need to do. So that's mine.
Cool. I'll go next. Mine's going to be really simple. I'm going to go with 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think another classic sci-fi. I mean, obviously, Ex Machina just came out and
Yes.
probably will not hold up as long as 2001 has.
It'd be tough to go as long as 2001.
Man, I just love the robot overlords, the AI that takes control. And in both movies, they're AIs that you think are good guys at the beginning and kind of turn on their own creator. I love it.
Hal is such a...
Fun fact for our listeners, Hal was named because each letter is one more in the alphabet than IBM.
Oh, that kind of works.
They were making commentary on the computer overlords.
I haven't watched this movie in a really long time, and I need to rewatch it, but I'm going to try to tie it into this pretty nicely, I think. I don't know. Flight of the Navigator.
Fucking movie.
I've not seen that.
I love that movie as a child. And from what I remember of the movie, it's about a boy getting abducted by a AI, essentially.
He's an alien robot.
He's an alien robot.
Yeah.
He's artificial, and he's from space, but he's collecting biosamples.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a flip on this.
Creepy.
Where we, like in Flight of the Navigator, we're the science experiment, and they're the super intelligent thing. And it just kind of... I loved that movie as a child. I thought it was great. Like, it was my, like, if I could go into space and this was the robot I got to be with, it would be so much fun.
Would it really be that much fun hanging out with Paul Rubens all day?
Yes, it would be. Totally would be. And all the little creatures in the spaceship.
Oh, yeah,
So
I like
it's-
the little one that hugs his thumb.
So it's kind of like the romantic idea of what you think an AI would be about. Something like it can be your buddy and stuff. And it was a great little fantasy.
Yeah.
Which is what Gleason's character thought he was going to get, essentially, except he was going to get his, sexy female fantasy.
Right.
But in the end, it turned out the humans were the science experiment, after all.
Where it's not going to work out the way you want it to work out, and everyone's going to try to destroy you.
Yep.
All right, well, I'll go next. I'm once again going to pick something a little outside the box, not necessarily based off of the quality of the film, but Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams.
Interesting.
Definitely not based on the quality.
Definitely not based on the quality. 'Cause
I've never seen that movie.
The movie is pretty generic, but it deals with the robot and humanity thing that I'm actually kind of a sucker for, regardless of quality. I'll still watch them like I will watch horror films, but it's interesting how the feelings I feel toward like Robin Williams' character, you feel like you start to lose, like you start to think of him as human by the end, and when it ends, you're like kind of bummed. It's been a while since I've seen it, but there's that feeling, that sense of getting lost in. You lose the idea that he's the robot, and there was that same feeling, especially for us with Ava, as we're losing kind of the connection. Like we think she's a robot at the beginning, but then we lose that, and we kind of get really wrapped in her as a human by the end. So it's kind of that journey, and that's more of what kind of I saw the connection as. Like both movies do a good job of making you kind of lose track of that character's humanity. Like in terms of like you kind of get lost. Like, oh hey, he's actually a cool guy. Wait, no, he's a robot. No, you kind of get lost in that, and that's my rating.
That
Cool
works better
comparison.
than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Because I really hate that movie. But
Yeah, no, it's not a good movie, but like I felt the same way watching both in terms of those characters.
Yeah,
so.
that totally works.
I'm gonna go with The World's End because a bunch of robots leave a bunch of shitty white dudes in the lurch.
All right, perfect.
Nice.
That was the best way to end that.
Yeah.
Well, I was also going to bring up toys and Joan Cusack's character. How would she do during the Turing contest?
Yeah, that's
Or
funny. Turing test.
Turing test,
Yeah.
whatever. She'd do pretty well, and you totally didn't know Joan Cusack was an AI until the very end.
Yeah.
And then you felt really sad that he never had a real sister.
Unless you hated the movie like I did.
I wish.
Stop
I
hating
had
toys.
Don't like the movie at all. It's such a waste of time.
You hate toys? Oh my goodness.
I've never seen it.
It's really boring. Don't
I'll
watch
lend
it.
it to you. If you
And
I was
wanna
just talking
watch
about
it.
toys in general.
Oh, I like toys in general.
Yeah. Okay.
love
Good.
toys.
We have to
Kinda
clarify
like
for
how
our
Brian also
more
hates
obvious
fun.
listeners.
You have to remember that.
I love fun, just not shitty movies.
I was talking about the band.
Oh, I hate that band.
I love all kinds of fun except the musical.
Except for fun, period.
Yeah. I like open-ended fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know who doesn't like open-ended fun? Tony. Sorry, call out to the previous episode.
Yeah.
I love any
nice.
digs at Tony. That's great.
Love you, Tony.
Okay, so immediately after this recording today, we're doing a special bonus episode, which we will not find out about until it drops. But I will mention it now that there is a bonus episode coming out this week, either the same day this drops or the day after this drops.
Yeah. My request.
Yes, it was requested by Ryan and be filled by everybody else. It'll be a long people. It'll actually be a little bit of a long episode, but I'm sure you'll all enjoy it because it's going to be a lot of fun.
You better enjoy it.
So there'll be the bonus episode coming up, and then next week we're doing our final James Bond battle. So stay tuned for both of these episodes coming up, and I'm excited for both of them.
I was gonna sing the jingle too, but I was afraid in my head that that Mission Impossible would come out instead.
And that's usually all I go for. Yeah.
Just want to make it a fan film where Ethan Hunt finally teams up with James Bond.
Oh my god,
They had their chance.
They
in the
did
last
in
movie,
all
and
sorts
they
of
didn't
fan
go
fiction.
for it.
They did in all sorts of fan fiction.
Okay, so with that, I'm gonna say thank you to Sam for coming out again.
You're welcome.
Thank you for Ryan for being here.
Yes,
as
as
you
always.
have been almost always right now. John and Chewie finally for coming back, from quitting all your jobs to do this. You look so annoyed that I'm even thanking you for being in the episode.
She had
Thanks
so
for
much
showing
more
up
to say.
Okay, so bye.
Bye.
We'll laugh and we'll sing, sharing our lives. Never a fight better than wives. You know, yeah. We'd have it all. A robot woman